Spann, you out here fucking up already. Fucking up already. Yo, sometimes life calls for a change. Not fake, just different. It'll show you a different way. And right now, I'm on to my different way. I can promise you this is the same Spann, but the reporting is over. I'd like to welcome you to the Mr. Spann official podcast. Let's go. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Spann official podcast. I am your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 25 of this show. And yeah, man, this is kind of off the cuff here, man. I had no, when I woke up this morning, I didn't think that I would be doing a show tonight or today or at all, right? But some circumstances just kind of happen where, like, you ever have one of those things where, like, you've been thinking about something all day and you kind of feel like, yo, man, I need to talk about this. I just need to I need to get this out. And that's sort of what this is right now, man. I was at work today thinking about this shit, and I don't, and I here's the thing, right? It's like, yo, man, I was working and it's like, yo, man, but why has this got a hold on me today? I don't understand why this has a hold on me today. But it kind of like goes into some of the things that we have been talking about over the course of the last couple shows, man, the last couple weeks or whatever. And so it kind of ties in, but it brings a sports angle into it, right? So I feel as though it would be apropos for me to talk about this here tonight. And because it's so it's so clear in my head right now, I'm like, yo, man, don't wait till the end of the week or whatever. Get this shit off right now, so you ain't got to worry about it later. Just get your shit off now, Spann, real talk. So we're going to do that tonight, man. We're going to do that tonight. But of course, before we do that, I have to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Mr. Spann official podcast and let your voice be heard, man. You can go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also hit me up on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead, follow me there, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Hit us up with a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher and or Spotify radio, man. It's not even radio. iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews. We love them shits, right? Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Spotify. We really appreciate everybody who does that. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann official podcast and also on the Spann Report podcast network, man. Real talk. Go to our website, www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls when we decide to put those polls up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And, of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network and the Mr. Spann Official Podcast in its exclusivity. That's not the right word, but y'all know what I mean, right? But, yeah, we got the business out of the way, man. First things first, man, I know it's late, man. It's 10:53 right now as I'm recording. It's 10:53 on a Tuesday night, man. So, yeah, man, I'm not expecting many people to be in the live, if at all, like tonight, man. Like I said, I wanted to get this out. But also, for those of you who may be looking for the video to episode 24, that video is not yet available. I did record that episode, but I did not go live when I recorded that episode. 9 times out of 10, I usually record live. But because it was Thanksgiving, I didn't think anybody would be watching. So I said, well, I'm going to have the video up, Black Friday, Saturday, and everything else. But after I got finished like editing that video and everything, that video was like 18 damn gigs like in size, bro. Just massive. Yeah, man, just massive. And so like it was taking forever, my nigga. I mean forever for YouTube to go ahead like upload that boy. And so I'm still trying to get that episode up, the video part of that. I'm still trying to get that up and available to you guys. But yeah, man, for those of you who are listening to episode 24, man, I appreciate you guys for going ahead and checking that out, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode, man. Real talk. But before we get into this other shit, y'all thought, did y'all think, nigga, did y'all think we was about to get up out of here and me not talk about how the University of Michigan beat the shit out of Ohio State this weekend, nigga? You know, I can only talk, I can only play but so much of that before the YouTube algorithm just be like, yo, nigga, that's a copyright infringement, my man. You know, like, we gonna have to go ahead and like kind of, you know, shoot somebody else some money on your shit. But I will tell you this, for those of you who are Michigan fans and you watched that game on Saturday, I'm gonna just say, man, just
Boy, we had a time last night. Boy, we had a time last night.
Did we though? Didn't we though? Listen here, man. Listen here. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna tell you this again. I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing. When I say a motherfucking, I say I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing about no goddamn sign stealing, bruh. I don't want to hear shit about no sign stealing. Straight up, man. I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing from nobody no more about no goddamn sign stealing. Y'all really, here's the thing, right? And as we're talking about narratives and the shit that gets created by narratives and whatnot, and how narratives become, you know, like perception, and how perception becomes reality for a lot of folks, man. You have people really out here believing that the only reason that the University of Michigan was winning these games was because University of Michigan was out here cheating. That they couldn't beat nobody, right? They couldn't beat anybody legitimately. Now, I was confused, and I've said this before. I was a little bit confused with the idea that, like, yo, Michigan had to cheat in order to win. Was like, wait a minute, motherfucker. Y'all was saying the Michigan wasn't playing nobody. How the fuck was Michigan not playing nobody, but suddenly Michigan needs to cheat to beat everybody? Make that shit make sense to your boy. It never made sense to me that they needed to cheat to beat fucking Central Michigan? That they need to cheat to beat Michigan State? Have y'all seen Michigan State lately? That they needed to cheat to beat fucking Illinois? Have y'all seen Illinois lately? They haven't had to cheat, these motherfuckers, man. Michigan is a great fucking football team. That's it. Right? And so this whole shit about sign stealing, and they had an unfair advantage. You had Stephen A. Smith. This motherfucker was going from show to show on ESPN to tell everybody, hey, Michigan shouldn't be able to play in the college football playoff because they had an unfair advantage. This yada yada yada. Okay, whatever, man. You did all that. Y'all talked all that shit. You had Paul Feinbaum's SEC leaning ass all over the fucking all over the fucking ESPN and shit, talking hella shit about how Michigan is seedy, everything is tainted, yada 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 yada. Right? They shouldn't be able to play in the national in the college football playoff. They cheated. Okay, so then they like the Big Ten, because everybody's talking about this shit. They haven't proven anything, but everybody's talking about this shit, and the Big Ten suspends John Harbaugh for 3 fucking games. Okay, so you suspend the coach for 3 games. He can't coach the team during the games, right? So then y'all say, and then again, y'all was saying Michigan hadn't played any fucking body. So then what do? They go in the first place they had to go play with John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh. I'm sorry, John Harbaugh is his brother that coaches the Baltimore Ravens. But they go into Penn State, and they beat Penn State with the interim head coach, with the offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, They run the ball 32 fucking straight times, beat Penn State, which at the time was a top 10 ranked team. And this is after the dude who was supposedly responsible for sign stealing and all this. They didn't jettison this motherfucker out of there. He ain't there no more. Michigan goes into Penn State and beats them, right? Beats them. Okay, that's one. Now they go against Maryland. Maryland almost pulled one off of them, right? Wrong. That was a trap game, man. They wasn't really looking for Maryland. They was looking past Maryland. I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember Maryland as a football. Not even so much a football powerhouse. I remember like when they were good basketball wise, when they had like Steve Francis and Blake, and they had I think they had, what was my man's name, man? Was it Wilcox? At one point, they had a nice little squad, man. They won a national championship back then. That's the only time I think anybody's ever really thought about Maryland was basketball. Ain't nobody ever thought about Maryland for no football. So, yeah, Michigan looked past them, and they eventually won that game. But it was, it was a trap game, man. Like, that was one of them games where, like, if you wasn't really, if you look past somebody, they might sneak up on you. But they won that game. They still didn't have a fucking head coach there, right? Win that game. Now, mind you, all this time is going past. All you motherfuckers, supposedly, Stallion stole your signs, right? Stallion stole your signs. Supposedly, he stole your signs. Now, all you motherfuckers after this, y'all done had a month and a half to figure out what the hell y'all gonna call these plays, right? A month and a half to figure out what the fuck y'all gonna call these plays. And they didn't have a head coach. And yet y'all can't beat them. Ohio State, our biggest fucking rival. I hate Ohio State, bro. From the time I was a little wee kid, man, so I was 8 years old. Fuck Ohio State. The Ohio State fuck eyes. It's been that for a long damn time, right? It's been that for a long damn time. And it was hurting, man. I swear to God, it was hurting to lose to these some bitches in the dark days of when we had Brady Hoke and Rich Rodriguez coaching the University of Michigan. Oh my God. It hurt, bruh. It hurt to be up here with these, these mediocre ass coaches in Ohio State beating us, knowing they knowing who the fuck, like the hairless nuts. They named their fucking team after some hairless nuts. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. We losing to these bums, right? But then we started winning, right? We got our mojo back. Jim Harbaugh, finally was starting to get some of his guys in, finally started getting his program implemented. He got his coaches. He got the players that he wants. He's got a system in place. The whole shit. And now y'all want to try to nullify that by saying that they had to cheat in order to beat these motherfuckers, right? And then tried to invalidate what the hell these kids done did. So, for all of y'all that's like, yo, man, Michigan's look at these motherfuckers playing the victim, man. Michigan's playing the victim. Michigan versus everybody. What the hell? You guys are fucking cheating, man. Like, y'all haven't even proven that yet. Y'all don't even know how far that shit even goes yet. But the narrative is out there, right? And because the narrative is out there, y'all got something to hang y'all hats on to. Now, mind you, Ryan Day, coach of Ohio State, he kind of alluded to, somebody asked him at a press conference before the game, he kind of alluded to, there's going to be a time and a place to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about that right now, but there's going to be a time and a place to talk about that. Well, here I am wondering when this motherfucker going to talk about it. We ain't going to talk about it, bruh. It's been a few days. I hope the sting then kind of came off a little bit. You lost to the interim head coach, man. You lost to the backup head coach. They ain't even had a whole guy there. Right? The reason why he ain't talking about that shit, because that's not an excuse he can hang on his, that he can't even bring that up anymore. That was the excuse. The reason we were losing to Michigan was because Michigan had our signals. That was the excuse for losing to Michigan 2 years in a row. You can't, where's that excuse for year 3, bruh? Where is it? I'm searching for that motherfucker. Searching for it. Ain't find that bitch. Can't find it. So yeah, man, it feels good. Oh man, it feels good to be a Michigan Wolverine fan right now. Oh my God, man. Ooh, shit. Feels awesome, bruh. Feels awesome. We got some comments here in the chat room. I ain't expect anybody to motherfucker be in here. I ain't gonna even lie to you, man. Shout out to my man, man. Like, let's see. Dwayne Johnson's in the chat room, man. What's up, Spann? What's going on, brother? What's going on? He had a few up in here. Let me see. Let's see. He says, did they need to cheat to beat Ohio State? Absolutely fucking not. You goddamn right they didn't need to cheat to beat these motherfuckers. Blake Corum came back just for this. He didn't even. That's another thing. Blake Corum, Michigan's top fucking running back, didn't even play in a game last year, and they blew you fuckers out. They blew these motherfuckers out. Let's see. Tulia Tagovailoa, to his younger brother, is Maryland starting quarterback. It didn't surprise me that they kept it close with Michigan. Hey, man, listen. Truthfully, even with that being what it is, you know, like I said, because Maryland is more so known as a basketball school than it is for football. You know, Michigan, like, nobody can fault Michigan and nobody can fault anybody else for looking past these dudes. And like, that's the unfortunate part. Like, sometimes and that's why they call them trap games. Like, you looking past people because you're looking forward to another matchup, and this other team is ready for your ass and they're gonna give you their best shot and you weren't even looking for them, right? So yeah, man, you got that going on. He also says, let's see what else we got. He said Ohio State is now out of the playoffs now with the Michigan win. And here's the other part, right? So last year when Michigan beat the fuck up on Ohio State, some kind of way Ohio State finagled their way into the college football playoff anyway, after not even winning the division and not even winning the conference. Like, make that motherfucking make sense. Like, they some kind of way they ended up in the college football playoff, having not even won the division in their conference, didn't even play in their conference championship, and yet the Buckeyes were in the fucking college football playoff. But yeah, you got that going on. Only reason I'm talking about this shit, I'm about to move on. But the reason why I'm talking about this shit is because narratives are very motherfucking powerful, right? And the minute Michigan beat Ohio State, that Michigan needed to cheat in order to win narrative went away, right? Shit went away. I was looking forward to First Take on ESPN on Monday. I wanted to hear them talk about that Michigan-Ohio State game. Not only because Michigan won the game, right? Not only because of that, but also because of all of the shit that ESPN, whether it had been Stephen A. Smith, whether it had been Paul Feinbaum, whether it had been that Get Up show that they sometimes play, whether it's college football, college game day, like that sort of shit. Like every time there was a little bit of a drip of some sort of like a tidbit or whatever, they were running that shit. If it was breaking fucking news, right? Breaking news. I was expecting for the biggest fucking college football game. That's the other part about this too. The Michigan Ohio State football game was the biggest fucking game this year for college football. The biggest and the best one so far. And you would have thought that First Take would have given it, you know, a little bit of time on the show. You'd have been fucking wrong. You'd have been fucking wrong. They barely gave that game any goddamn time. They barely spoke about it. As a matter of fact, they spent almost 45 fucking minutes talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills, man. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, yeah, and it was a good game. That was a good game too. But I mean, come on now. The biggest fucking game in college football, y'all only give them 5 fucking minutes. Had Michigan lost that game, trust and believe me, that segment would have been longer. That segment would have been longer, and they would have tried to invalidate everything Michigan had done the same way Ohio State was going to try to invalidate everything Michigan had done for the previous 2 years. They were going to try to invalidate the shit that these kids have been able to do this year because of that college, like the signal scandal or whatever the fuck else, right? Narratives, man. Narratives, right? And the reason why I'm really kind of leaning in on this thing about narratives, right? We talked about this with what was that? Last week, the last show I did, man. Well, there was the dude who was supposedly the Black Lives Matter leader of Rhode Island, you know, and like I'm trying to figure out like how many black people are in Rhode Island. He's a Black Lives Matter leader in Rhode Island, right? And he was, you know, he's a Trump supporter though. He was a Black Lives Matter leader who was a Trump supporter, which doesn't make much sense considering how Trump treated Black Lives Matter activists during the George Floyd, you know, uprisings and shit like that, right? Doesn't really make much sense, right? But Roland Martin had this dude on his show. And he essentially was asking him, how does, you know, why is he voting for Donald Trump? Why is he campaigning for Donald Trump? Why is he saying all these glowing things about Donald Trump? And essentially, dude, it was a 34-minute like video, man. If you guys want to, you can go on YouTube and check it out. I might even link in the show notes. But for 35 minutes, man, this dude is going from one conspiracy theory to the next. He's absolving Trump for all sorts of shit. He's not really holding Trump accountable for nothing. But one of the things that he said towards the end of the interview, and you know, Roland Martin was kind of mocking him, but I was like, yo, if he said nothing else in this interview, that part there is true, where he talked about perception being reality for so many people. And because so many people can perceive a thing to be true, they can perceive a thing to be true. That's all they need for it to be true. They're not so much enamored with the facts. In many ways, how some of us in you know, how we operate in the real world, like, you know, we believe in like facts ruling the day, where oftentimes we're finding ourselves struggling with the fact that like people aren't even necessarily interested in facts if it doesn't make them feel a certain way, right? If it doesn't make them feel a certain way, they ain't trying to hear that shit, man. They're just not. So what he said in that particular moment was true, and I leaned into that because it made sense, and because of so many other things that get tied into why we have so many people who say things that they perceive to be true, but they don't have any way to back that up. They just perceive these things to be true. Like I talked about this like when I was a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, where one of my coworkers was talking about us being in a recession. We were in a recession, and I'm like, yo, where'd you get that from? Because we're not in a recession. And he was like, yo, it's everywhere. I'm like, yeah, you saying it's everywhere. Where did you get that from? Right? And so now he's going into his phone and he's looking to try to find out where did he read that we were in a recession. And so now we're not in a recession. It's, well, they were saying that we could go into a recession. I said, yeah. But just a second ago, you were certain that we were in one. And now because I was like, yo, where'd you get that from? Because now you've been forced to look. Now you're saying we could go into one, but we're not in one, but you thought we were. So because you thought we were, you were operating as if we were in one when we weren't, because you perceived that to be true, right? You've heard that, you've seen that. Don't know it to be true, haven't looked that much further into it. Just know that you saw that somewhere. You just saw that somewhere, right? And that's how the narratives kind of take hold on folk, and like they perceive that to be the reality of the situation. And because they haven't had a chance to delve into looking into these things, they don't know that that's not exactly what the situation is, right? So I say all of this to say, there is a narrative going on about a young lady in sports media. And I've spoken about this particular issue once before. And unfortunately, the issue has come up again. And it's one of those things where the narrative has kind of like with sports bros, right? I'm not sure how many people who are listening to me like really pay attention to like sports media. But like with sports bros, it's really taking hold. And yeah, so we got a comment in the chat room. He's like, Malika Andrews? You goddamn right. We about to talk about Malika Andrews. And we're gonna talk about this thing that the sports bros have with Malika Andrews, right? So yeah, man. So like yesterday, I watch a lot of YouTube. I actually watch more YouTube than I watch like regular television now. It's odd, right? I got all these options and shit, and yet I still find myself like scrolling and watching a bunch of YouTube. But yesterday I started seeing a bunch of videos about Malika Andrews, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this about Malika Andrews? And the last time I had saw a bunch of videos about Malika Andrews, it had to deal with how she spoke about the Ime Udoka situation. Right now, for those of you who are not familiar with Ime Udoka was the former head coach of the Boston Celtics. He was suspended for a year by the organization, and there was a lot of speculation as to why he was being suspended. There were, and during the speculation, you had prominent media figures such as like Stephen A. Smith coming out speaking on the situation, saying that we should know the name of the woman who's also involved in said situation. And Malika Andrews had the temerity and unmitigated gall to call Stephen A. Smith while they were doing that show to say like, hey man, you might want to pump your brakes on that one, right? And that right there set her in the crosshairs. When she called into that show, when she called in the First Take to talk to Stephen A. Smith about how he was talking about the Ime Udoka situation, that right there set a lot of the sports bros off, right? Now, I wake up this morning and I'm just kind of perusing my Facebook a little bit, and I see my man Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips. He was talking about this, and he highlighted this story about Dez Bryant, right? Now, Dez Bryant comes out, and he's talking about Malika Andrews, right? And so I pull up the story, and I'm gonna read a little bit from this story here. And I'm gonna read a bit. And this comes out of Complex, and it says Dez Bryant targets ESPN's. Hold on a second. Dez Bryant targets ESPN's Malika Andrews over delayed coverage of Josh Giddey scandal. You went out of your way to crucify Brandon Miller. But also,
niggas.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read from this article. It says Dez Bryant has fighting words for an ESPN journalist over alleged bias. The former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver called out NBA Today host Malika Andrews for not covering the Josh Giddey scandal quickly enough. She spoke about it on air Monday. Giddey, a point guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder, is under fire over allegations that he had an inappropriate relationship with an underage girl. The 21-year-old Australian player may be at risk of losing a $40 million sponsorship deal. The NBA launched an investigation into Giddey's reported relationship with the minor after photos of the two had circulated online. On Twitter, Dez Bryant said this: at Malika Andrews, you went out of your way to crucify Brandon Miller on draft day over something he didn't even do. Why haven't you said nothing about Josh Giddey? I advise you to not make this a black or white thing. Your parents really raised you wrong, and just because you went to a private school don't make you better. That sound like, oh my God, nigga, just
makes me sick, motherfucker, how far we done fell.
Just like that sound like just like some jealousy right there. You appeal, and I know you're kind. You just a puppet. I don't know how a former or current NBA player could sit there across from you and look at you with some kind of respect. So, now, here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. Unfortunately for Dez Bryant is falling for the narrative, right? He's falling for the narrative. And the reason why I say Dez Bryant is falling for the narrative is because this is something that has been brewing up in sports bro like media for a little while. I said I spoke about this before. And the reason why I spoke about this before was because there was this there was actually a few different YouTubers who spoke about Malika Andrews, but there's this one in particular, bro. Like this is almost kind of nuts. Buddy has made at least 4 or 5 videos within the last 2 days about Malika Andrews and whether or not Malika Andrews spoke about Josh Giddey.
I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
So I'm gonna pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with me, man, because I'm a kind of break some of this shit down here. I'm gonna break it down so it'll no longer, it'll no longer be broke or some shit like that. Whatever man the nigga on like Love Jones said. But yeah, so we gonna watch a little bit of this and we gonna break a little bit of this down. Check this out, y'all.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Spann. We want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Bro Show. We'll cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see it. Now, today we have a pretty serious show for you guys, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want today's full show before it comes out, it is streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. We have that pinned in the comment section. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Charles Tabanzi. My handle is CTABANZ. And also, if you want to follow the channel on Instagram, same name as the channel, Dreamers Pro. Let me get into this topic here. This is a continuation of some of my thoughts over the weekend, discussing this scandal surrounding Josh Giddey. I'm going to cut to the quick. I'm going to get to the point immediately. Listen, I'm someone that really believes that Malika Andrews has it out. Number one for men, but especially black men. That's what I believe, and a lot of people believe that. And the most annoying part is that Malika Andrews is a black woman.
Okay, here's one thing. That's what he believes, and that's what a lot of people believe. Just because y'all believe that doesn't make it that doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it so. Doesn't make it true. It's important to say that.
This is the part that kills me. This is the confounding part of it all. This is the part that I just don't understand. You have this fetish for attacking men that look like you. It's unreal to me. I don't understand what that says about a person that loves to go after people that look like them. That means there's some serious issues lying within. Serious. And we can bring up case after case after case after case.
And it's going to be real interesting when he start bringing up his cases, how flimsy these cases are.
This Josh Giddey situation is quite messy. It's quite messy. And what we've noticed is whenever there are issues surrounding black men, Malika Andrews is always the first one to jump to the front of the line to start pointing fingers. For those of you who don't remember, if you think back well and you recollect properly, Ime Udoka at one point used to be working for the Boston Celtics. Then a scandal broke out. Mm-hmm. A scandal broke out involving Ime Udoka and a staff member with the Boston Celtics. And Malika Andrews jumps on television on Stephen A. Smith's show after she attended a press conference with the Boston Celtics and tried to scold Stephen A. Smith for daring to say that the Boston Celtics should have kept that information in-house. For those of you who don't remember, I want to play a quick soundbite of Malika Andrews going off on Stephen A. Smith on his own show to the point where he had to stop her and check on her show. On his show, take a listen to that there.
I'm not about to play that audio. But right off top, Buddy is like mischaracterizing what the fuck happened between Stephen A. Smith and Malika Andrews. He's already mischaracterizing it. The reason why Malika Andrews had issue with what Stephen A. Smith was saying on that show when she decided to call in to First Take was because at that moment, Stephen A. Smith was on the whole shit of like, I've been hearing that this is consensual, right? I've been hearing that this is a consensual relationship, and that if Ime Udoka is in trouble, and we know Ime Udoka was involved, then we should know the name of this woman who is also involved in said scandal, right? Her name should be out there too, right? This is what Stephen A. Smith was doing and saying on national airwaves when Malika Andrews called in, right? Now, here's why that's problematic. First things first, Ime Udoka, as the head coach of the Boston Celtics at that time, is one of the faces of the franchise, along with Jaylen Brown, along with Jason Tatum. One of the faces of the franchise, So if there's a situation going on in the organization with Ime Udoka and an unnamed woman in the organization, and they have to suspend Ime Udoka, for conduct unbecoming, or whatever the fuck they'll call it, right? If they have to suspend him, but they don't say, what was going on or whatever, like, first things first, all that leads to is like the media digging for the information, and then it's seeming as though there was a cover up, and now the story is much bigger than it would have been originally, right? But what Malika Andrews was essentially pointing out was like, yo, you clamoring for this woman's name. And a lot of these guys, they were clamoring for her name only because, let's keep it a buck. A lot of these motherfuckers were only asking for her name so they could, maybe harass this lady, try to justify why Ime Udoka was doing what he was doing. Right? But ultimately, that woman was a private person. Ime Udoka is a public face. So the reason why Ime Udoka's name was out there was because Ime Udoka was the face of the fucking franchise. That's number one. Number two, I distinctly remember a time where when that scandal broke, there was a former NBA player turned podcaster by the name of Matt Barnes. He has a podcast with Steven Jackson called All the Smoke. And when that scandal broke, Matt Barnes went out and said some shit on social media in defense of Ime Udoka. Right? In defense of Ime Udoka. He had to hurry up and backtrack on that shit. Oh my God, he had to hurry up and backtrack on that shit. As a matter of fact, I got the article right here. I'll be damned. We get this from Boston.com. It said less than 24 hours after he defended Ime Udoka and questioned why Udoka received a year-long suspension, former NBA player Matt Barnes not only backtracked his statement, but also took a stance against the Celtics coach. After making the post that defended Udoka on Thursday night, Barnes said that he got a call from someone that had all the details. This shit is deep. I try to report and talk with facts and honesty, and I clearly have to say last night without knowing all the facts, Barnes said in an Instagram post Friday, I spoke on Ime Udoka's defense. After finding out the facts after I spoke, I erased what I posted because this situation in Boston is deep, it's messy, it's 100 times uglier than any of us thought. That's why I erased what I said. Now, who do you think is more plugged in the NBA? Matt Barnes or this guy here with the YouTube who's mad at Malika Andrews? I mean, come on now. Who do you think is more plugged? Said Barnes, also who contributes to ESPN's NBA coverage and is also co-host of All the Smoke podcast, one of the most popular basketball podcasts, said he didn't want to reveal exactly what he's heard, but it was enough for him to drop his defense of Udoka. It's messy, Barnes said. Some things happen that I can't condone. I can't back, and it's not my place to tell you what happens. If it ends up coming out, it ends up coming out. Right? Now, I don't know if it ever came out. But what I do know is at the time when Malika Andrews had the temerity and unmitigated call to call Stephen A on First Take, as Stephen A said, we need to know this woman's name. That was the issue. It wasn't that it should have been handled in-house. Because if it had been handled in-house and he got fired and nobody said anything as to why, they'd be like, well, what the fuck they firing for? The Celtics was good. Now you got a whole bigger scandal going on. But I'm gonna let this video play a little bit. Wait, because he got the audio. He's playing that audio shit. So we're gonna fast forward right past that because we've heard that 1,000 times. But yeah, so let's go.
Same fashion, it has always been handled.
Now, that's just one example.
That's his first example, y'all.
Some people don't know the lengths at which Malika Andrews will go. It has nothing to do with even age. Malika Andrews has no shame. Okay, she'll attack grown black men. She'll attack young black men. I want to give you guys another scenario.
Also, keep in mind, he keeps saying she's attacking these dudes. Like, she called Stephen A. like, hey man, I don't know if this is we shouldn't be doing this. She didn't call him calling him no names. She just said, hey motherfucker, you need to stop. She didn't do none of that. She like, hey man, it was more so like, I think we might need to pump our brakes. We can't be doing this. She didn't attack that dude. But somehow, some way, what she said to Stephen A. hurt this guy to a point where he feels as though brothers are being, quote unquote, attacked. It don't make sense. But I'm going to play some more.
Of when she tried to bring up some unsavory information about Brandon Miller on NBA draft night, and she was called out for it by the public, who said, why is Malika Andrews doing this? For those of you who don't remember her going after Brandon Miller on draft night, I want to quickly play it for you. It's about a 10-second soundbite. Take a listen to Malika Andrews going after Brandon Miller here, and it will continue on the show. Take a listen to that there.
His name did surface in court testimony involving a case where his former teammate and another man, they've been indicted for capital murder in the fatal of 23-year-old Jamia Harris in January. The University of Alabama has described Miller as a cooperating witness. How is this factoring, if at all, into how teams are evaluating him?
So you heard her there. Now let me tell you guys what's interesting about this. Do you know that at the time that she went after Brandon Miller, do you know that he was actually younger than Josh Giddey?
Okay. So first things first, I'm waiting for the attack on Brandon Miller. I'm waiting for the part where you point out where she actually went after anybody. Right? So here's the thing. I'm 43, so I've been around for a little bit. Brandon Miller at the time was involved in a case where a teammate of his, I believe, killed a young lady that he was involved with, right? And I believe Brandon Miller's involvement with that case was allegedly, that teammate retrieved a firearm from Brandon Miller's car and then proceeded to, unalive this young lady, right? And so because of Brandon Miller's proximity to this crime 6 months before the draft, Malika Andrews on draft night actually asked an analyst, how are teams looking at this particular situation while in how they're evaluating whether or not they're going to draft Brandon Miller? This is what journalists do. This is what good journalists do. They ask the right fucking questions. Now, the reason why I brought up the fact that I'm 43 and I've seen some things, a few things, I'm old enough to remember Randy Moss. Randy Moss, one of the greatest wide receivers the NFL has ever seen. One of the greats, man. Hall of Famer, first ballot. Had no business, absolutely no fucking business falling all the way down to the Minnesota Vikings with the 21st pick of the first round. And you know why Randy Moss fell down to 21st in the NFL draft? It's because Randy Moss came into the league with, an image problem. Randy Moss had an image problem, man. People thought that Randy Moss might have been more trouble than he was worth at the time. You're talking about a talent who had got kicked out of Florida State, who found himself playing for Marshall. One of the greatest wide receivers we've ever seen was at Marshall. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Lost that boy to Charles Woodson. Hail to the victors. Right? Lost it to Charles Woodson, but was the best wide receiver of that class, bar none. There's no way in hell you can point to me 20 niggas ahead of Randy Moss in that draft. There's no fucking way. Randy Moss was a generational talent. all-time great. He went 21st in the draft because there were perceptions of Randy Moss that something was wrong with him, that he had other things going. He had legal issues and he had got kicked out of one fucking Power 5 school and ended up in Marshall. So teams passed on him. Fast forward to 2022-23, Brandon Miller is involved, ancillarily so, to the killing of a young woman 6 months before the draft. 6 months. And Malika Andrews is asking the question, how are teams looking at that situation in their evaluation on whether to draft this dude? That's the question you as the viewer should want fucking asked. You watching the draft. Hey, so that situation down there in Alabama, man, like how was that going to, is Brandon going to get, is he going to go top 5, top 10? Will he get drafted at all? Because some teams may be looking at that and like, hey, man, he might be more trouble than he's worth. So these are the things that this dude are claiming are attacks. She's not attacking anybody. She's doing her fucking job. She's doing her fucking job. And he's claiming this is an attack. But we're going to play some more, y'all. We're going to play some more.
Josh Giddey's 21 years old. Brandon Miller's 21 years old right now. Right now. They're roughly the same age. So going after young guys, she has no issue with it. And what we're asking is, where is Malika Andrews' voice on this particular situation? Where is it? Where is it? Where is this thing of going on people's show, cutting them off to express your displeasure with a situation that, oh, by the way, involves a minor?
Okay. So he was asking, where was Malika Andrews? Where was her voice? Why hadn't she spoke about any of these things that were happening with Josh Giddey? This is very easy. And it's sad that brother, that buddy didn't just like do this. And like, I hate to do this to you guys because I know it might set off some of you guys as like assistants and stuff at your place, but I got to do this, right? Hey, Google, does the NBA schedule games on Thanksgiving?
On the website NBCConnecticut.com, they say the league does not schedule games on Thanksgiving Day, which gives players, coaches, broadcasters, and all others associated with the teams the opportunity to enjoy their holiday.
Y'all heard that, right? It gives the league does not schedule games on Thanksgiving Day, which gives players, coaches, broadcasters, and all others associated with the teams the opportunity to enjoy their holiday. Also, because the NBA noticed that like football rules fucking Thanksgiving. Let's just keep it above, right? So and on top of that, this scandal broke over the holiday weekend, right? So there is no NBA games on Thursday. There are no games on Friday. I don't even know if there were games on Friday. But you know what that also means? There's no NBA Today. There's no NBA Countdown. Those are the two shows that Malika Andrews host, right? So the reason why you didn't hear from Malika Andrews this weekend was because Malika Andrews was probably just like the rest of us enjoying a fucking holiday with her family. She's allowed to do that, right? She was like literally like it was a Thanksgiving Day holiday. She didn't have to fucking work. There was no NBA games going on. I'm with my people. I'm with my people. I get to take a break from the gig. I ain't got to think about that place for another few hours. Because when I leave my job, nigga, trust me, I ain't trying to think about that place. I'm really not trying to think about that place. I'm sure, especially with motherfuckers like this in her mentions, that she ain't trying to think about that place either. Right? The reason why you did not hear from Malika Andrews was because the NBA does not schedule games on Thanksgiving, and they haven't for the last 13 fucking years. And you would have known this had you did a little research, bruh. All you had to do was Google the shit, and you would have known this already. But instead, you got on YouTube and produced 4 videos, almost 5, in 2 days to talk about how this woman is attacking black men with the flimsiest ass cases. We'll let it play some more.
Which could have some legal ramifications. Which are ramifications that have absolutely, there were nothing alike the situation that Ime Udoka was on, but she felt so comfortable to convict them in a public forum when she didn't have the facts.
So did Matt Barnes have the facts? You know, the same Matt Barnes that came out in defense of Ime Udoka, and then like once he heard from somebody in the know, was like, shit, I stepped out and I stepped in it. Oh my bad. That shit's fucked up. Like, nah. Do you have that same level of fucking vitriol towards Matt Barnes, who retracted his defense of Ime Udoka after finding out what he found out? Do you have that? Because I'm not seeing you mention Matt Barnes at all in any of this, right? Matt Barnes' name ain't showing up nowhere. He was a defender of Ime Udoka. Found out what the fuck he found out. Like, nigga, shit,
Niggas coming.
Yeah, they coming. But narratives, man, narratives.
You automatically assume that it was the big black guy at the office that was pressuring that woman to go into a relationship with him when we later found out that it was a consensual relationship. So for her to have any position at all that wasn't neutral was already a negative slant towards black men, which is her MO, and I'm calling her out on it.
You need to be calling out motherfucking Matt Barnes too there, goddammit. But I don't see you doing that. I don't see you doing that. But you calling out this woman. As a matter of fact, it seems as though, and this is just, you know, my observation here, it seems as though you're more upset at the idea of this woman actually addressing this issue than the fact that these niggas actually did the shit that got them fired in the first place. Right? He got a 1-year suspension. He was eventually let go. He lost his job. But you're more upset at how Malika Andrews talks about this and not upset with the behavior of Ime Udoka. Make that make sense, player. Make it make sense.
I'm calling you out on it. I'm a black man, and I'm offended by your behavior.
I'm a black man and I'm offended by yours.
I am. And what we're looking for is the same energy.
Not all of us are looking for that. As a matter of fact, I would like for you to actually like do a little bit more in-depth research on these issues before you get on a fucking microphone and start talking about these issues in front of people.
The same energy. This is what I'm looking for. You can't be mute on this particular issue. Go post on your Instagram. Go do something. Do something. Say something. Go after him the same way you went after these other figures. This is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to be waiting to see it. Otherwise, I'm going to call you out. Because otherwise, if you don't do it and another situation comes up and it involves a black guy, nobody should listen to a single word coming out of Malika Andrews' mouth.
Okay. So he says, I want you to do it. You need to do it. This, that, and the other, right? Real quick, let me see. I'm gonna minimize this. When was this video published? 1 day ago. So this was yesterday, which is probably Monday, which means that she probably already talked about it by the time this motherfucker even published this video. She had already probably talked about it. Because she was probably back to work. She was probably back at work. Because we all kind of went back to work. Most of us kind of went back to work on Monday. Some of us had 5 days. Some of us had 4 days. I had 5 days. I was lucky. But she was probably back to work on Monday, where she talked about it because there were games and there was issues going on. And there was an NBA Today show that needed to be hosted. And that's the show. That's the show that she hosts. Okay, so yeah, let me go ahead and maximize that back out. We're gonna play a little bit more.
Because when Stephen A. Smith went on Paul George's show and he was defending Malika Andrews, she's like, if she doesn't bring up if she doesn't ask the right question, she doesn't bring up that point, she loses that job, because if you're up there, you're not going to bring it up, then why bring it up? Okay, fantastic. We grant you that. She's doing her job. Do your job now. You didn't do it for Dana White. We know that.
Now, he's bringing up Dana White right now. He's bringing up Dana White. And I said this before. When I talked about this particular issue, when the sports bros were going off about Malika. Dana White is the dude that runs the UFC, right? He runs UFC, which is the mixed martial arts, league or whatever. I don't watch that shit, so I don't really know much about it. But I know that that's who he is. I know he's associated with motherfuckers like, Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Kid Rock, ass wipes mostly, right? Now, Dana White, a few months ago, he publicly struck his wife, right? In front of people, he struck his wife. And the reason why this Charles dude wants Malika Andrews to talk about Dana White is because, he feels as though Malika Andrews only attacks black men. Now, mind you, two of the black men that he's accusing, Malika Andrews of going after, are both affiliated with the NBA. One is a coach or was a former coach of the Boston Celtics. Another one was a draftee in the 2023 NBA draft. It was basketball related, which is why, as host of NBA Today, NBA Countdown, Malika Andrews talked about those things because it was relevant to the league that she covers. I don't know if Malika Andrews ever said anything about Dana White on anything, quite frankly. I don't. Never really expected her to either, considering the fact that Malika Andrews is an NBA reporter with NBA assignments. And so one of the things when I saw this video initially, and he was talking about Dana White and why Malika Andrews wasn't talking about Dana White, one of the things that I did, because this dude, he's a sports guy. He's a sports guy. He talks sports. And we got to know we got to have our sports, man. We got to have the coverage of the sports and all this other shit, right? We need to know what these, what the sports is doing. We got to have all the coverage. We got to have all the coverage, right? So what I did was this. I went to his channel and I searched for Dana White on his channel. And guess what the fuck I found? Not a goddamn video about fucking Dana White. Not one video about Dana White, nigga. I'm looking at I searched Dreamers Pro Dana White. And here's what I get. More disturbing details come out surrounding the Josh Giddey NBA investigation, exposing the blatant hypocrisy from ESPN Malika Andrews on the Josh Giddey NBA scandal. ESPN forces Malika Andrews to publicly address the Josh Giddey situation after public backlash. Now, this video was published 4 hours ago. Nigga, when you did that other video, she had probably already talked about it. Narratives. Now, here's the rub, right? How are you, as I look through these videos, looking for Dana White, and I don't see anything about Dana White. I see Malika Andrews, Malika Andrews. Josh Giddey and Malika Andrews. Right? As a matter of fact, let me blow this up so I can make sure you motherfuckers see this shit. Hold on a second. I want to make sure y'all see this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here we go. Right? Her favorite targets. The truth finally comes out. Malika Andrews constantly goes after men on ESPN. Finally comes out. The real reason Malika Andrews only targets people like Ime Udoka and not Josh Giddey. Right? Now, this y'all see this, right? It says Dreamers Pro, Dana White. I'm looking for the Dana White shit. I ain't getting no Dana White shit. None of it. I'm getting all Malika Andrews. So if you're going to be mad at Malika Andrews for not talking about Dana White, how about you, as sporty YouTuber, talk about fucking Dana White and what he did with his wife? How about you do that? How you mad at her for not talking about Dana White when you ain't talking about Dana White? Make this shit make sense. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, look at this shit. This ain't even your shit. Dana White has the most vicious response to the media ever. This ain't even your shit. It ain't even about what the fuck he did. She finally breaks her silence. ESPN forces her. Nigga, she went back to work, bruh. She went back to work. The blatant hypocrisy. It's like, come on, man. This is sad, bro. And this is sad, man. And listen, I don't want y'all to like, real talk. And I mean this with every fiber of my being, man. I'm not really like, I don't dislike this guy. I think his channel is good, man. I think their channel is good because I believe there's a collective of guys working on that. The channel is growing. I mean, shit, you look at these videos, they got 20,000 videos, 24,000 views. Like, the motherfuckers getting views, man. But also, the views help drive the narratives too, right? Because now you got to feed the beast. Now you got to get the content out there. That's what's important. We got to get the content out there. The people got to know what we talking about. Right? And so if our viewers are clamoring for this sort of content, then damn it, we got to give it to them. But this is where integrity comes in. Hey, man, you can't be mad at somebody for not talking about something if you yourself ain't talking about it, especially if you consider yourself pissed off about it. That don't make sense. That don't make sense. And so when I talk about like these narratives, the narrative is he believes it. Des Bryant believes it. I'm sure there's a few thousand, probably even millions of dudes, sports bros, who consume independent media, who consume sports media, who have a perception of Malika Andrews painted large part by the media that they consume, not so much about how they navigate the media that they consume and how savvy they are with the media that they're consuming. They just know that they heard this, that Malika Andrews hates black dudes. And so Malika Andrews hating black dudes colors how she talks about black dudes. And because Malika Andrews hates black dudes and it colors her concept, her how she talks about black dudes, then damn it, Malika Andrews doesn't need to be on ESPN. That's what that leads to. They want that woman out of a fucking job because she had the temerity, for one, to talk up or like to like kind of like, yo, like, hey, bro, you need to pump the brakes to Stephen A. Smith. And that she didn't, I'm sorry, that she had the temerity to bring up a case that was 6 months old that could have affected the draft stock of one of the, a future NBA player. And then there's a scandal that breaks out over the Thanksgiving holiday where she's not at work. And they're like demanding that she say something when she ain't at work, when she's probably like, enjoying the holiday with her family. Like, this is fucking wild, bro. This is fucking wild. But narratives shape the reality for a lot of folk. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it's real. It's so real. Yeah, man. Let me stop sharing that. But I'm gonna finish this one out though. I said I'm gonna finish this out, and then we gonna get the fuck up out of here. Because like I said, man, it's late. It's almost midnight. I need to get my ass in the bed. But but yeah, we gonna finish this out, and let's see what the fuck else how you finish this off.
When he hit his wife, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. You didn't do it for Brett Favre. You didn't do it then. Do it now. Because this is an NBA an NBA related issue.
Yeah, Brett Favre, NFL. She doesn't cover the NFL. Sorry.
Do it now. And we're gonna be waiting. And if you don't,
and we're gonna be waiting. And so when she did it Monday, now it's ESPN forced her to say something. Right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. Y'all didn't think she was gonna say shit. She gets to work, starts talking about it. Now they forced her to talk about it. Is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? What's wrong with you niggas, man? Like seriously, what is wrong with you niggas? I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
Don't do it. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because we don't see that same consistency here.
I mean, I'm not saying you talk about fucking Brett Favre. I'm not saying you talk about Dana White. Hell, like you are. Let's just keep it a buck. This Dreamers Pro channel, and like I said, I'm not. I think his channel is a good channel, man. Like real talk. Don't go over there talking shit to this dude. None of that shit, man. Nah, I ain't with none of that. However, dude primarily talks basketball on this channel, right? He primarily talks basketball. I didn't see him talking about Brett Favre either like that. I didn't see him talking about Dana White either like that. Didn't expect him to, because it's a basketball channel. That's fine. Didn't expect him to talk about that shit. But also, you're coming at an NBA host about why she isn't talking about the MMA dude, about why she isn't talking about the NFL dude, when you ain't doing the shit either. You're not doing it either, bro. Come on, man.
To me, it's absolutely disgusting that this girl has a fetish for going after black men, and I'm sick of it. I'm sorry.
She got a fetish for going after black men. Meanwhile, you not talking about these same white dudes with the same level of vitriol that you got at this sister. You not talking about them with the same motherfucking energy that you giving this black woman. Think about this, bro. I mean, like, really think about this. You adamant. She going after black men. Like, I'm sitting here as a black man like, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? As a black man. And I think I'm older than you, too. But as a black man, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this shit, and I'm like, man, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, real talk, what the fuck are you talking about? If you're going to have that same energy for her, keep that same energy for your Brett Favres. Keep that same energy for your Dana Whites. Keep that same energy for your Josh Giddeys. But you're not even talking about Josh Giddey and what the fuck he did. You are more upset at the idea that Malika Andrews hasn't talked about Josh Giddey. You have spent very little time actually talking about what the fuck Josh Giddey is accused of doing. You spent 4 or 5 videos talking about Malika Andrews, not Josh Giddey and what he's accused of doing. You spent that time on Malika Andrews. What the fuck is wrong with you, bro? What the fuck is wrong with you? God.
I'm sorry, Malik. I'm sick of it. I'm a black guy, and I like the way I look, and I like myself. I like my dad. I like my brother. I like my cousins. And I'm sick of seeing people that look like us going after us on television because they got some kind of sick fetish.
The irony of that. The irony of that. Real talk. But yeah, man, this is the shit that had me at work all day, man. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I know I had to speak on it, man. I had to speak on it. And you know, this is the second time in a row, bro, that I thought I was going to probably only be on the mic about 25 to 30 minutes. I've been on the mic an hour and 10. So, yeah, man, you know, it works out that way sometimes, man. But it's shit. It's about midnight and I need to get my ass in the bed. But before we get up out of here, let me remind you guys how to get in touch with your man Spann here at the Spann Report podcast. Damn, it's not the Spann Report no more. The Mr. Spann official podcast. Let your voice be heard, man. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get replied to here live on the show and responded to in kind. I said replied to and responded to. Listen to here live on the show and reply to in kind. You can also hit your boy up on Threads, man. I am on Threads. I am no longer really rocking with Twitter, man. I mean, the Twitter account is still open. I use it very sparingly, man. So if you want to chop it up with your man, hit me up on Threads, man. I'm on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. Go ahead, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. It's not Stitcher. Oh, man. iTunes and Spotify. Leave us those 5-star reviews on iTunes and Spotify. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get right here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who does that. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. Also, go to our website, www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can donate to the show as much as you like, as often as you like. And, of course, we appreciate every dime over here at the Mrs. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety, man. But, yeah, man. Shit. I went on way longer than I thought I would. But I will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.